Hello dear learners, happy to see you all with another topic in programming language C. This is Dr. Sedhupathy, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science with Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, Dr. S.N.S. Rajalakshmi College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. So today we are going to discuss about functions of two small different categories by means of argument list, which is call by value and call by reference. Here is the agenda for our discussion will be introduction about what is call by value and what is call by reference, and advantages and disadvantages of using these type of functions, memory representation of call by value and call by reference, and use case scenarios, which means where you can use this type of functions, and common pitfalls and errors while using this kind of functions in C language. So here is the base idea, what is called by value and what is called by reference. Basically in C programming there are two ways of passing arguments to a main function. As we discussed already, there are four categories of functions. Functions without argument having two categories, and functions with argument having two categories. Here these two things comes under functions with argument. While passing argument to a called function, we have two different categories. One by call by value, another by means of call by reference. Understanding the difference is crucial for managing data manipulation in these type of functions. Here is the call by value understanding. A copy of the actual parameter is passed to the function. It actually changes made inside the function do not affect the actual arguments, safe as the original data remains unmodified. When you pass the copy of actual argument to the called function, the copy of the value only make changes. You are not supposed to make any change in the original argument value. Here in this example, there is a main function which denotes in the right side the value of x is 5 and the value of y is 10, and the function swap calls the x and y value, and it passes to the function void the value of x assigned to a and the value of y assigned to b, and the values of a and b are exchanged. The value a is assigned to temp and b assigned to a, and again temp is assigned to b, which means the a value is exchanged to b and the b values is exchanged to a, and not the x and y values are exchanged. You supposed to understand the things. The exchange happens only between the variables a and b. The scope of variables are only inside the swap function and not inside the main function. The scope of variables x and y are end inside the main function itself. And call by reference. Here the values of x and y are not passed to the swap function. Instead of that, the address of the variables x and y are passed to the swap function, and addresses are assigned to the variables, pointer variables a and b respectively, and the values are exchanged by using address reference operator asterisk. And here if you print the values of x and y after the function call, the values definitely swapped, because by using pointer address we are swapping. And advantages and disadvantages of these two categories are, in call by value it actually protects the original value but inefficient for large data sets. In call by reference efficient for large data, but can sometimes it modifies the original data when you access address of the original argument value. And there is a memory representation here. Here in the main function, the values are stored x equal to 5 and y equal to 5. After swapping, value of a equal to 5, b equal to 5. Once you swap a and b values by using third temporary variable, the values of a and b can be changed. If you print a and b value, it can print a equal to 10 and b equal to 5 once you swap, but it will not swap inside the main function. Whereas in pointer, while using call by reference, after swapping the values are exchanged. It will not affect the main values, but it will affect the main variables values also. There is a use case scenario or when you can use call by value method. It can be ideal for simple data types like int, char, float, where performance overhead is minimal. Functions performing calculations where input data must remain unchanged. Whereas in call by reference, suitable for complex data structures such as arrays, structures and large objects. And there are some common pitfalls of these two categories. Forgetting that changes in the function will not affect the original variable, whereas sometimes in call by reference, accidentally modifying the original data when the intent was to only read the data, it dereferencing the errors. You can avoid by using some tips like always carefully check when to pass by value or when to pass by reference to avoid these kind of misbehaviors. Thank you for my dear learners for your patient listening.